First of all, thank you so much for joining with us in this digital platform. I warmly welcome you all to this lecture. We have amidst us connected through digitally our Vice Chancellor, Professor Vinod Kumar Jain, our esteemed speaker for today, Professor Sudarshan Iyengar from Gujarat, Professor Dhanapati Deka, Dean of Students Welfare and coordinator of this lecture, and all the participants who have joined with us today. I warmly welcome you all to this lecture on Revisiting Gandhian Philosophy. This lecture has been organized as a part of 2-year-long commemoration of 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi, which is concluding on October 2nd, 2020. And this talk has been initiated by Ministry of Culture, Government of India. So the name Mahatma Gandhi, it itself personifies a magnitude of values such as humanity, integrity, equality, and of course, peace and non-violence for any person in any part of the world. Probably that's the reason why he once said, "My religion is beyond any geographical limits." Time and again, it has been proved that his values have an everlasting impact in everyone's life. To understand what Gandhiji wanted to convey us is well reflected through his life. And so he once famously said, "My life is a message to humankind." He relentlessly worked throughout his life for the cause of the nation. He never wanted Swaraj or independence just in its literal sense. He wanted a reformed India, a reformed governance, streamlining of the economic lines and social structure, participation of people, empowerment of women folk in the country, to name just a few. Hence, he being rightly called the father of the nation. However, many a time we tend to forget that India is respected world over because of the ethos and the values that we have inculcated in our system and societies, which were instilled in by Mahatma Gandhi and his contemporary freedom fighters and social reformers. We are now probably more fragmented, more divided than earlier, more illusioned by modern lives than earlier, that the Gandhian values are fast diminishing from our day-to-day life, and which is why probably we have to remember him on a single day every year. All the webinars, talks on Gandhian philosophy that is going on across the country is in a way a reminder to us to understand, comprehend, and most importantly, to actualize his vision, his dream about one India. So on this note, we shall now proceed with today's program. At the outset, I request Professor Dhanapati Deka, Dean of Students Welfare and the coordinator of this lecture, to deliver the welcome address.
Good morning, everyone. Honorable Vice Chancellor of Tezpur University, Professor Vinod Kumar Jain, today's esteemed invited speaker, former Vice Chancellor of Gujarat Vidyapith, Professor Sudarshan Iyengar, Cultural Officer and Coordinator of the program, Dr. Bhupali Kashyap, and my dear beloved participant of the event, joining from different parts of India as well as from abroad. 2nd October 2019 was a great day for India as the country celebrated 150th birth anniversary of the father of the nation, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. Not only that, but the world celebrated the auspicious day as International Day for Non-Violence, to pay respect and acceptance to the true spirit of non-violence promoted by Gandhiji throughout his life. Today, as per the suggestion of the Ministry of Culture, Government of India, a talk on online mode on the occasion of 2-year-long commemoration of 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi has been organized by Tezpur University on Gandhian philosophy, relevance to 21st century. But Mahatma Gandhi has actually become all the more pertinent in the 21st century. Whichever the challenge we confront, it can be sure that the Gandhian way is a real live option, an option that informs and illuminates. An increasing number of young people in India and elsewhere are today turning to Gandhian philosophy to seek solution to contemporary concerns through individual and collective action. I am glad to inform all of you that today's talk will be delivered by a noted scholar on Gandhian philosophy on the topic of why we should revisit Gandhi. I'm happy to note that this is a rare opportunity to listen and know more about Gandhiji from a person who have profound knowledge on Gandhian philosophy, a noted academician and a trustee of Sabarmati Ashram, Gujarat. Professor Iyengar, on behalf of organizing committee and also on behalf of Tezpur University, I would like to welcome for the program and to associate with the youth of this region and participants from all over India as well as across the nation. We are very much grateful to you, sir, as you have accepted our invitation and spare your valuable time to deliver the lecture that will be enlightened the participant. I would like to welcome to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, and thanks him for sparing his most valuable time for the participation of the event by giving inaugural address. It is always inspiring to listen to you, sir. It is really a matter of pride that more than 200 participants from India and abroad, starting from faculty members, officials, students from different levels and background from different places, even from Chennai, Delhi, Jammu and Kashmir, Mumbai, Pune, northeastern states, and even from Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, have shown their interest and participate in today's program. I appreciate their decision and determination to listen for next few minutes to our honorable speaker, Professor Iyengar. Finally, I welcome all of you again with my colleagues who are also involved in organizing these great events. Jai Hind. Thank you all. Professor Dhanapati Deka, Dean Students of Tezpur University. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I now request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Vinod Kumar Jain, to deliver the inaugural address. Sir, please.
Thank you, Dr. Kashyap. First, let me welcome our keynote speaker of this event, Professor Iyengar, on behalf of the university and on my personal behalf. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation. As the Dean has mentioned and Rupali has also mentioned, that this event is being organized just to sensitize everyone about the Gandhian principles, Gandhian philosophy. The principles which all of you are aware of, the non-violence, the compassion, peace, harmony, and the life of dignity for everyone. Gandhi was born, as you know, in a very orthodox Hindu family, and his childhood was very normal. But when he went to England for his studies, he got exposed to the British culture, got his barrister or law degree from UK, came back to India. Up until then, he was just like any normal youngster, you know, with full of dreams and aspirations. But the life changed once he went to South Africa on an assignment. And there he saw the discrimination, the racial laws and the oppressive colonial rule. And that actually transformed him into a formidable crusader for fighting for freedom and injustice and the racial discrimination, not only in South Africa, but also in India. When he came back to India somewhere around 1915, he joined the freedom movement, and then he started organizing the protest marches and mobilizing people against the British rule, gave the slogan of self-reliance and non-cooperation with the British government. And then he was jailed many a times. And during this period of jail, he went on a journey of self-realization. I mean, if you look at his autobiography, that's where he mentions how his spirituality actually gave him the courage and the moral strength for his political activism. And he did say that the strength does not come from physical capacity, it comes from indomitable will. And certainly he did have that strong will, for which he's known world over. And he fought the British, he got the independence for the country. And in fact, his principles inspired many world leaders. And some of them, as you all know, Desmond Tutu, then Martin Luther King, Mandela, and Tanzanian President Nyerere, and many others. He inspired by his principles and beliefs and thoughts. And as has been mentioned by Dr. Bhopali also and Professor Deka, that his philosophy was relevant not only for the 20th century, it is relevant in the present times, and it's going to be relevant for the 21st century challenges also. May I just mention a few things about how great Gandhi was? If you go by even the UN Sustainable Development Agenda, this agenda came into being typically in 1992. But Gandhi talked about the issues pertaining to environment, conservation, life of dignity for all, strong institutions, peace, justice, fairness, and all that. He had talked about it, in 30s and 40s. And UN took note of all these principles somewhere around 92 and in the later part of the decade. So Gandhian thoughts, whether it is to do with environment, whether it is to do with strong institutions, Swaraj was mentioned by Dr. Bhopali, Swaraj, good governance, peace, justice, dignity of life for all, ending all kinds of discrimination, whether it is on account of gender, religion, or what have you. So Gandhian principles are very much relevant in today's context, and I'm sure they're going to be relevant in future also. One of the things which even the present government, if you have been following the events of late, the Prime Minister has given a call for self-reliance, right? Atmanirbhar. This Atmanirbhar, Gandhi was talking in 30s and 40s. You look at even the new education policy, a fair amount of provisions, or fair number of provisions in the NEP are from are based on Gandhian thoughts. Now that is something which just tells you how Gandhi was like a true Mahatma. He had prescription for practically everything, whether it is your economy, whether it is your country's all-round progress, or the life of dignity of the people, or the peace, harmony, non-violence, compassion, everything. I mean, I think we owe a great deal of gratitude to this Mahatma and this great man of India. And I would just like to quote a very famous quote about him, that if humanity is to progress, Gandhi is inescapable. He lived, thought, and inspired by vision of humanity evolving towards a world of peace and harmony. We may ignore him at our own peril. This is what it has been said about Gandhi by some great person, and how true it is in this context, in the modern day context, and for the challenges of the 21st century. So with these words, I look forward to listening to Professor Iyengar, the keynote speaker. So thank you so much, Gopali, for giving me this opportunity to speak to you all, and I thank the organizers for organizing this event. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your time. Thank you so much. I think we have a condition now. Professor Iyengar, he stays in a remote location in Gujarat. He connected with us, but probably he has a power cut. So I humbly request all of you to be with us. He will soon join once he gets back the power line. He will soon join. Please stay for a while.
Dear participant, yesterday we talked to Professor Iyengar on video on Google Meet. Yesterday also that problem was arise for Professor Iyengar, and today just now he called me. Power has been cut, electricity has gone, so he requested us to wait for some times. This is the problem with the remote area, especially in all over India, and he is living in a remote area in Gujarat. He requested all of you, please don't go. I think yesterday after 15 minutes the power came, so I am just trying to call him and think you just wait for some times. It is a very unfortunate situation we have to face now. Okay, please, okay, thank you.
Dr. Bhopali, what you could do is,
Yes, sir.
you could invite comments from any of the participants in the meantime.
You're right.
Until you get connected with Professor Iyengar.
Right. We have, I can see many participants from various universities, institutes across the country. So as our Vice Chancellor sir has just said, we please invite comments from people on this topic. We have a friend from Kashmir. He has joined with us from Lucknow University. So please comment something on this topic. We can have a discussion.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are. Yes, sir.
Yes. I am Professor N.K. Pandey from Department of Physics, University of Lucknow.
Okay, sir.
So actually, I have some interest in the issues connected to the society also. So apart from studying, being a student of physics and being a teacher of physics at the university for the last 30 years, I have some interest. So I'm just reminded of a very small story that I had written when I was doing my master's and doctorate from IIT Delhi, and that was "Do Paise Mein Gandhi Le Lo," and it was a very small one, and it just said that even after his death, even after so many years of his death, the poor people were selling the flags or the statues or the pamphlets in his name that do paise mein Gandhi le lo, do paise mein Gandhi le lo, and they were feeding their stomach. So Gandhi was still able to give a living to the human being. This is the time. Particularly, actually, many times I have also organized lectures on Mahatma Gandhi, and particularly the relevance of Mahatma Gandhi in today's life, and how much he is relevant yet. As the times are becoming more complicated, lives are getting very much complications. As you can see, right now we have the immediate situation coming out of the drugs being taken by the youngsters. So here at this, as the life is getting more and more complicated, the relevance of Gandhi is increasing day by day. Earlier, when we used to be the students, life was not as complicated. Life was simple. We were not exposed to so many things. Oh yeah, perhaps he has come. Perhaps he has come. Professor Iyengar has come, so I will stop over here. Please invite him for. We want to listen to him.
Sure.
Please request our invited speaker to start his lecture, please.
Thank
Upali.
you.
Yes, sir. Sir, before you start your lecture, I would just like to introduce you very briefly, sir.
You have done it already. It's fine.
No, I will do it. So just a few points about you, sir. Professor Sudarshan Iyengar, PhD Economics from MS University, Baroda, is a social volunteer by disposition. He participated in People's Agitation led by Jayaprakash Narayan, Sampurna Kranti in Gujarat and Bihar as a student. He also worked for the rehabilitation of tribal people displaced in Narmada Dam project 1989 to 95. He worked in 2001 in relief and rehabilitation of earthquake-affected people in Kutch, Gujarat. He served as director of Gujarat Institute of Development Research 1999 and to 2004, and director of Center for Social Studies Surat 2004 to 2005. He was the Vice Chancellor of Gujarat Vidyapith Ahmedabad 2005 to 2014, a deemed university founded by Mahatma Gandhi in 1920. He was invited to be the Distinguished Chair Professor Gandhian Philosophy at Department of Humanities and Social Sciences, IIT Bombay during 2016 and 2018. He is serving as a trustee of Sabarmati Ashram, Gujarat. He has worked with various state and central government committees. Most recently, he was vice chairman of high-level Gandhi Memorial Committee and member of Gandhi Heritage Sites Mission, Ministry of Culture, Government of India. He has contributed more than 70 research articles and 8 books, the most recent one being In the Footsteps of Mahatma, Gandhi and Sanitation, which has been published by Publication Division, Government of India in 2016. Currently, he stays in Dharampur, Valsad in Gujarat, probably where he is connected with us from now, and works with Action Research in community health and development. So we are more than privileged to have you amongst us today, and I request you to deliver your address why we should revisit Gandhi. So please.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And that is the reason why I am stuck here. Because in Dharampur, you don't get electricity supply as frequently as we get in the cities. But I am sure this is the plight of everybody. So, very honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Jain, Professor Deka, who is the Dean Students Welfare, Bhopali, who has organized this as the culture coordinator, my dear esteemed colleagues who are teaching lit, and an honor to be addressing this meeting. I presume that this is one way of saying that this is celebrating Gandhi 150, but I think this is also a reminder that if he is out of radar, why should bring him on the radar? I mean, I'm sort of sold to this, my dear old man, as I call him, Mr. Gandhi, and therefore I'm going to sort of try and present the case to my younger generation, because people who are who have crossed 50 have had some opportunity to hear and read about Gandhi, but I think the younger generation has not been so fortunate because we have perhaps got him out of the system sometime. So my only presentation is that why do we want to visit him? And we are now talking about, I mean, young people can come and ask me that, why are you bringing this, old person who was in his times maybe relevant, and what has he got to do today when we are talking about Internet of Things, when we are talking about artificial intelligence, machine learning, 3D printing, big data, and all that? Where does this man fit? So this question is raised, obviously, and one gets confused that, oh, we have become so modern and science and technology has advanced so much, we need him for three levels. And I try to explain this through a trinity and try to see whether what I'm saying makes sense to you. As individual, are we fine? I don't know. With all given these things, with Corona-19, we know how to protect ourselves, yet this virus is spreading. And one good thing or bad thing, whatever is happening, unfortunate thing which is happening is that the depression has increased in the population. And this depression is not only in the poor people. Poor people may be trying to struggle and stay on, but it is those who have, and they are going through this depression, which means that material happiness doesn't, or material richness doesn't give us the happiness that we are looking for. So there is something else that is troubling. So our individual is something more than what we satisfy our physical needs. And perhaps this person, Mr. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, had to say something on that, and therefore I think we need to revisit him, and I will tell you how did he work on that. The second is, have the wars gone down? I understand that whatever studies, the data suggests that more persons have been killed and many small wars and battles have been fought after Second World War. The total casualty of Second World War was far less than the total number of casualty which have happened in the wars and in the conflicts, in the armed conflicts. The arms race has not stopped. The nuclear armament buildup has not stopped. We take pride in saying that we have got Rafale, which is going to beat the airplanes or the bombarding planes which are there with our neighbors. Now, is this a solution? Why UN has to announce day after day the day of non-violence, the day of peace, and all kind of those things, which means that the individual is not happy, the society is not in harmony. And the third problem that we all have, of course, is the ecological and environmental crisis, which is real. Scientists used to fight about 25 years back whether this is true or this is untrue, but I think everybody now agrees that this is true, because we are seeing the impacts of climate change. So on all these three counts, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi had something to contribute. Let me begin with individual. How does it contribute to me? First of all, I think what we should do as elders now feeling responsible, we should remove this old Gandhi's photographs from everywhere. Because whenever you think of this old person, Gandhi, whenever I utter the word Gandhi, I'm sure when I'm saying Gandhi, the image that you are getting is an old man with spectacles, with bare body on the top and wearing a small dhoti, with, at best, with a watch which is dangling. He looks like some fakir. Now, do you think that he was a fakir from the very beginning? Was he born like that? No, he was born as Mohan. And why don't we try to peep into that Mohan? And when we do that, and I would recommend all my young people to go through his autobiography. It's quite interesting, to say the least. And what one learns from this boy is that he has been continually an evolving person right from his childhood. He is very conscious that he is not a scholar. He is not ranking number one in the class, but he is acutely aware that he has to be truthful. And he has to serve. He is serving his parents. Where does he get inspiration? He reads a play called Shravan Pitru Bhakti. It's a play that he reads, and he imagines that how this son is carrying mother and father on the shoulders. This is the image. He goes and sees Harishchandra play, where he sees a king ready to die for doing his duty truthfully. So these are the impressions that he gets, and he thinks that he is going to be truthful. As he grows up, he also realizes that when you make mistakes, and when those mistakes are of any kind, they are serious, you should at least have inner strength to accept those mistakes, acknowledgement. You must repent, there must be remorse, and there must be acceptance of punishment. If I tell in Hindi, if you follow, it is Swikriti, Paschatap, and Prayashchit. Now, can you believe that these three are the values that we lack in our lives? Our egos stop us in a childhood in a different way, but when we become elders, our egos stop us from accepting if we are wrong. Remorse or repentance is out of question, and readiness to accept punishment is still farther. And that is why you see the discord and disharmony in the society. Think about it at a deeper level. So this person is an evolving person. And when he is thrown out of that train, we know this, Peter-Maritzburg station, he is 23-year-old. Please don't think that this is the old man who is being thrown out and he started a movement. No, this is a 23-year-old, young, enthusiastic barrister in three-piece suit. But he thinks that I am being thrown out not for any individual animosity, because there is a problem of this racial discrimination. And if I am true to myself, I am not seeking justice for an injustice done to me, but I want to change this whole attitude, and therefore I must organize other people. So that is what So I think this is important for us, that we learn from him that how do you really respond towards your responsibilities. So that is how he evolves. So he is Mohan as a boy, Barrister Mohandas in South Africa, and then he comes back as Gandhi to India. And when he is back as Gandhi, his evolution has not stopped. He stops the Chauri Chora movement because he thinks that there is a grave mistake in his understanding of people's understanding of non-violence. So if you will see that throughout his life, he is a learner and he keeps improving himself in order to see his inner growth. And for this, later in his life, when he is asked, he says that I have certain values and vows to give to you. And these are the 11 vows. And I must briefly discuss them, which will also then talk about why we need them in the society. He says that if you agree that material existence of the body itself is not the end and we are seeking something else in ourselves, our body has to grow, then actually we require what every religion practically has said, yama and niyama. It is self-regulation. Therefore, he says, Swaraj is the ultimate aim, and Swaraj is not the political freedom of the country. Swaraj is my own liberation. And that comes through self-regulation. You know what we have done today is that we have lost this. The modern discourse of liberty and individualism and freedom, individual liberty and freedom, tells me not to interfere in your life, so much so that you are free to choose your own poison. I can't tell you that please don't drink. The best I can do is that I will explain to you that if you drink, your liver will go bad, you might get liver cirrhosis, you might get X problems. If you smoke, your lungs will go away, and also print it on your cigarette packet that this is injurious to health, but you decide whether you are going to smoke yourself to death or not. Gandhi has a different take on that, and this is a paradigm shift, please understand. He says, and of course, there is a system, there is a structure, there is a law that you cannot do drunken driving, you cannot harm others. This is accepted even in the Western discourse, but nobody can touch your individual freedom. So therefore, if you are behaving in a licentious fashion, if you hurt somebody else, you will be punished. But if you don't, people don't come to know about your licentious behavior, or you are powerful enough. If you are in power and if you are licentious, nothing can stop you. Gandhi says this paradigm doesn't work because this is going to create, and it has created problems. To the point he makes is that self-regulation, so 5 yam niyamas, which is satya, ahimsa, brahmacharya, asteya and aparigraha. Truth, non-violence, celibacy in the sense of self-control. It's controlling your senses, and non-stealing and being non-acquisitive. Therefore, he gave the principle of trusteeship. An individual has to practice, and we can go on this. Then he introduces abhaya, fearless. The environment today is that I don't dare to speak anything about against if some injustice is happening. What an environment we have created. Why are we afraid to call a spade a spade? It is my truth and I have all the reason to express my truth. But we are not. So therefore, abhaya, you can't speak truth if you are not fearless. This is very important. So fearless is important. Then there is taste, palate. He says aswada, eat to survive. Now we can dispute that. I am not spending more time on that. But then there are others. He talks about bread labor. Now we are as I told you, we are transferring everything onto now other systems. Okay. Now we are saying that why should we work for productive? So you decide, younger people, you want to go to gym in order to, because science tells us, health science tells us that you require body exercise. All right. Nobody says that if you will sit, this organism will survive. You will become obese, you will have heart problem, you will have diabetes, and you will die. So you have to go to gym to keep yourself fit. Whether 6-pack or for 7-pack or 1-pack or 2-pack, whatever, I don't understand. But do you see that this is what you want to do? Or you want to go to a field and farm or find some productive work of knitting cloth, doing something with your hands, skills. And new education policy now talks about skills. But that skill has to be, that's dignity. If you think that there is dignity of labor, he talks this as an individual value, which I must pursue. Why I came to Dharampur finally leaving this? Because I thought, let me at least grow some vegetable for myself. And I am happy about it. Okay. So this is the next is Swadeshi. Swadeshi is a non-negotiable social value for Gandhi. It is decentralization. I am an economist. I can go on. You can invite me again and I'll tell you why this decentralization in these days is important. And all those words which I uttered, starting from 3D printing to Internet of Things to artificial intelligence to big data, everything, there is good potential to decentralize mode of production on this moment. We don't require factories. But this has to be done through policy. So therefore, Swadeshi. And Swadeshi has another good thing about it. Corona tells me that my villages in these interior tribal areas, I asked them that if government had not give you food through fair price shops, which it could not in the urban areas. Therefore, so bad migration, inhuman migration took place because the state could not deliver. But in my villages, my tribal people said that even if fair price shops did not give us, we would have pulled through this year. That is self-reliance. I don't want Punjab and Haryana rice and wheat to be distributed 1,500 kilometers in a corner of my village. What is this logic we are talking about? Why are we wasting so much of fuel? Why are we creating so much carbon emission? Can you see this? Can you see this, that we were all very self-reliant and yet we were a country? So that is Swadeshi and decentralization. Finally, two things. I have a news item in Business Standard of 23/9 where a big corporate person, Radha Krishna, writes that I see the world where everybody will have, in India, everybody must have smartphone, every village must be connected 4G, tablet should be available on rent, and social security has to be done for unemployment. And then on another newspaper also tells me on the same day in Mathura, a 22-year-old boy is beaten up by the girl's family because this boy has gone to meet the girl. Both are in love. And then we have Delhi riots. All right. So Gandhi says that unless we as a society decide to do this, what we call assertion of law, removal of this untouchability, and we bring in Sarvadharm Sambhav, respect for all religion. Each religion is imperfect. Therefore, let us respect and learn from each other and strengthen ourselves. What are the 4 values for the harmonious society that we have accepted in our constitution? Freedom, individual freedom, fraternity, justice, and equality. Right? These are the constitutional freedom. This is what Gandhi is saying. So this is what the society we want to do. Where are we on each of this? Do we question this anytime? That on all the 4 fronts, as the way we are progressing and developing and hankering about our GDP growth rates, we are falling on all these 4 items. Aren't we? You make the assessment. If I am wrong, tell me. But this man had visualized it. And in the individual behavior, when you are non-acquisitive and you are non-stealing, if you are really looking for your happiness, your inner happiness, you cannot get this by increasing your material demands. So the simple equation is that the more happy, if I have to be more happy in real sense, I have to reduce my physical requirements so that I spend more time in feeling myself happy and doing something which nurtures my inner growth. This is all of us talk about. I am not saying that surviving is destitute, one must survive in destitution, hunger. But if your roti, kapda, makan is solved, and if we do it in a self-reliant way, and then we also enter into international trade, Gandhi is not going to come and object. He's a very pragmatic person. But he says that if you reduce your demands, then your harmony will increase. Tell me, why are we fighting? The global fight is for the, first of all, after Second World War, it was capturing the oil. Because America thought that let all West Asia oil be exhausted, then it will start its own oil drilling. So they wanted to capture West. And on the other side of the Iron Curtain, Russia was sitting. You take any dispute international level. What is China trying to do today? China wants to take more and more geopolitical zones so that it becomes richer in natural resources and it becomes richer in material, and therefore you are entering into conflicts. So if you reduce, every individual tries to reduce, and this, by the way, this only I am not saying. Now I am happy that Professor Pulin Nayak of Institute of Economic Growth, who has just retired, also is talking about, I mean, he is remembering Gandhi in his A.K. Dasgupta Memorial Lecture in West Bengal. He is talking about why we should go back to Gandhi and reduce our demands. If you don't do this, then you can't meet the ecological crisis. So now let me summarize this. I am saying that if there is a regulated individual, that regulated individual will create better systems than non-regulated individuals. One simple example. Now you are compelled to do your biometrics. Put your fingers. I don't trust you. I mean, I resisted in Gujarat Vidyapith. I said that I don't want it. I trust every employee of mine. I know that there will be 5% people who will turn out late. But I'll try to talk to them. And I did. I invited each one of them. Tried to understand what was their problem. Are they habitual offenders? Then I told them that they should not. And if they had genuine reason, I said improve the scope, but no biometrics. Why do I require CCTV camera?
We are probably again encountering some technical glitch. Okay, he is connected.
Electricity is playing truant. Even electricity supply thinks गांधी के बारे में थोड़ा ज्यादा हो गया, कुछ कम करो. समय भी हो रहा है. No, I was trying to only summarize. तो ये अब मैं थोड़ा हिंदी में कह देता हूँ. I hope everybody understands Hindi because I am more comfortable in Hindi. व्यक्ति, समष्टि, समाज और सृष्टि, इन तीनों में हार्मनी होनी चाहिए. और मोहनदास करमचंद गांधी मेरा प्यारा बुढ़ा जो है वो अपनी लाइफ से जी करके बताया कि ये हो सकता है. पहले इंडिविजुअल को ठीक करो. तुम अगर तंत्र लगाओगे, सीसीटीवी कैमरा लगाओगे तो तुम मेरे मन के चोर को नहीं पकड़ सकते हो. हाँ, मैं आईआईटी की बात कर रहा था ना, बच्चों को मैंने कहा अरे तुम इतने ब्राइट लोग, तुमको इंसल्टिंग नहीं लगता? तुमको ये नहीं लगता कि तुम अपने डायरेक्टर से जाके ये कहो कि सर दिस इज आवर इंसल्ट? All the boys, young boys should feel. आपको क्या लगता है कि हम लड़कियों को छेड़ेंगे? हाँ, इसीलिए आप सीसीटीवी कैमरा लगाएंगे? हमारा मन साफ रखेंगे. हाँ, देखिए ये सीसीटीवी कैमरा जब नहीं था, तब जब संस्कृति थी, ये नहीं होता था, मैं नहीं कह रहा हूं, पर इसके बिना हमारा समाज जिया है. It is not that our society has not lived through these things. What now I have done is that as teacher, I have transferred my responsibility. When I am a teacher to student also. I am teacher to my, my non-teaching staff also. I am teacher to citizen also. So I should, with my behavior, demonstrate. I must be the model. And this old man tried to be that model and express. So if we do this, then we require less resources. अभी हमको resources किस लिए? क्योंकि हमको ये सारी टेक्नोलॉजी इंडिविजुअल को कंट्रोल करने के लिए चाहिए. आप पर कोई भरोसा नहीं कर रहा है क्योंकि आपको एंटीवायरस डालना पड़ता है, क्योंकि वायरस भी हम ही प्रवेश करवाते हैं, हैकिंग भी हम ही करते हैं. सो देन यू रिक्वायर व्हाट इज कॉल्ड एथिकल हैकर्स. अब एथिकल हैकर्स का काम यह है कि जो अनएथिकल हैकर्स हैं उनको पकड़ना. चोर को पकड़ने के लिए दूसरे चोर को रख रहे हो. See, what system are we building? Are you realizing that in which world you young people are going? You will be machine controlled.
सर आपका ये बान है, आपका प्रोफेसर आएंगर आपका.
Oh, I am sorry.
Yeah.
I was off. I have been speaking with this got off. No, I was only saying that we are trying to control individuals through our, what you call, systems and machines. सो ये नहीं हो सकता, ये सस्टेनेबल नहीं है। आप बना लीजिए जितने भी एसडीजी आप बनाएंगे, पर इससे नहीं निकल पाएंगे, राइट। सो एसडीजीज के लिए भी ये बुढ़ा काम का है, प्यारा बुढ़ा है, उसको जरा एक बार विजिट कर लो, और वो कह रहा है कि भैया देखो खुद पर जरा कॉन्सेंट्रेट कर लो। सो व्यक्ति, समष्टि और सृष्टि में व्यक्ति अगर ठीक हो जाता है, सी दिस इज नॉट द ओनली वे ऑफ डूइंग, देयरफॉर ही आल्सो टॉक्ड अबाउट तंत्र, और समष्टि में जो तंत्र है वो ग्राम स्वराज की बात, मेक इट स्मॉल सो दैट देयर इज अ फेस टू फेस गवर्नेंस। अभी कौन क्या कर रहा है मुझे क्या पता चलेगा? हाउ डू आई गो एंड कैच इफ समबडी डज अ चोरी इन 3G और 4G कॉन्ट्रैक्ट? अब 5G आने वाला है, उसमें भी कोई चोरी करेगा। नीरा राडिया पैदा होती ही रहती हैं, है? तो हमको क्या पता कौन कैसी चोरी करेगा, पार्टी कोई भी हो। जितना कॉन्सेंट्रेशन ऑफ पॉलिटिकल और इकोनॉमिक पावर होगा, उतना जो है उसकी डिस इकोनॉमीज और उसके जो है वो बैड इफेक्ट सोसाइटी में रिपल्स में आएंगे ही। सो गांधी उसके लिए कह रहा है कि आप फोकस इंडिविजुअल पे करो तो समाज में हार्मनी आएगी, और इंडिविजुअल जब समाज में हार्मनी के साथ जिएगा तो उसकी जरूरतें कम हो जाएंगी, तो हिज ड्रॉ फ्रॉम द नेचर, एक्सट्रैक्टिंग नेचर विल रिड्यूस। सो द डेरिवेटिव इज कि सृष्टि के साथ का मनुष्य का संबंध भी अपने आप ठीक हो जाएगा। सो दिस इज व्हाट ही वांट्स टू टेल अस इन शॉर्ट, and therefore I thought that young people should visit his life to see how he evolved, and is it something that we can pick it up. Otherwise, creativity, there is no limit. Be as creative as you want to be. And Gandhiji would have used social media, Twitter, everything, but with responsibility. ट्रोलिंग के लिए नहीं, किसी को गाली गलौज देने के लिए नहीं, सेंसिबल चीज लिखो, सोच के लिखो ना। You must be sensible enough. So communication is not a problem, but quality of communication. Am I writing fact? I am verifying. Am I verifying? I am being scientific. Gandhi is in that sense scientific. He says that मेरा truth जो है छोटा है भाई, मुझे जिस दिन दूसरा truth समझ आ जाएगा मैं इस truth को छोड़ दूंगा, पकड़ के नहीं रखूंगा, पर जब तक मुझे लगेगा ये truth है तो उसके लिए मैं सत्याग्रह भी करूंगा। So this is in brief. He is, will not take long. I think I have tried to communicate to you that this old man, dear old man, is worth visiting. 150 or not 150, this rare personality had come, who had from a simple Mohan, who was hardly passing, who was very darpoke, and from that he had evolved into a very, very morally courageous person, and who finally, for his values of Sarvadharma Sambhav, fraternity, it is this person who was such a timid boy as Mohan took 3 bullets on his chest and gave up his life for his conviction. Now, this is the character we are talking about. So I think, yes, there is a lot to learn, and if we do that, then of course, we have solutions, but we will have to try, give him a try. Thank you. I think it was nice. Thank you for inviting me and hearing me.
Thank you so much, sir, for such an enlightening lecture. So would you like to take some questions?
Sure. I mean, I should have spoken less and asked for more questions.
I request all the members who are connected with us, they can put their questions to sir, or you can write it in the chat box.
Yeah, if you can write in chat, I have kept the chat open.
Yeah, any questions from any members?
Feel free to criticize. Don't accept whatever is told to you. First thing is that question. सवाल करो. सवाल करोगे तो जवाब खुद भी ढूंढोगे और हमको भी ढूंढने पे मजबूर करोगे. कोई सनातन सत्य नहीं है.
May I ask a question, please?
Sir.
I'm Professor N.K. Pandey from Lucknow University, sir.
जी.
मुझे सर आपसे ये पूछना है कि ठीक है, आइडियली हम सभी स्वीकार करते हैं, वी ऑल एक्सेप्ट, कि गांधी जी आज भी रेलेवेंट हैं और बल्कि आज के लाइफ में बहुत ज्यादा रेलेवेंट हैं, लेकिन गांधी जी के समय से अभी तक में इतना ज्यादा इरिवर्सिबल प्रोसेस हो चुका है और लाइफ इतना ज्यादा कॉम्प्लिकेशन में चला गया है कि जैसे आपने कहा कि आपने गिल्ट का एक्सेप्टेंस, अगर आज गिल्ट का एक्सेप्टेंस दीपिका पादुकोण कर ले तो पूरी मीडिया और चिल्लाएगी और पूरी दुनिया में तहलका मच जाएगा। तो एक तो हम इरिवर्सिबल प्रोसेस से इतने आगे बढ़ चुके हैं कि आज की तारीख में गिल्ट का एक्सेप्टेंस क्या आदमी कर सकता है, दैट इज पहली बात। और दूसरी बात सर, सारी चीजों के जानने के बावजूद भी हम आज तक गांधी के विचारों को अपने सोसाइटी में वास्तव में ला क्यों नहीं पा रहे हैं? हम सभी लोग बातें आइडियल कर लेते हैं लेकिन ला नहीं पा रहे हैं। वेयर इज द प्रॉब्लम? दैट्स माय क्वेश्चन। थैंक यू।
एक बात बहुत सही है पांडे जी, आपने बहुत सही है। इरिवर्सिबल तो शायद कई चीजें हो जाती हैं, मैं उसके मतलब, पर शुरुआत तो कहीं से भी हो सकती है। गांधी को हम तो नहीं ला पाए क्योंकि हमने सोचा कि गांधी बहुत आदर्शवादी है। नेहरू के साथ बात हुई थी 1945 में, और 1945 the correspondence between Nehru and Gandhi was clear. Nehru was absolutely clear. He was a socialist in his bent. He said that sorry, Gandhi ji, Bapu, I don't agree with you. This country is under threat, so I will have to build military. I will have to do urbanization. I will have to do industrialization or poverty removal and everything. Depression has not stopped in that sense. We have improved a bit, but we have not solved. So we took a path where education. We took 70 years to realize that skill is necessary. When Gandhi had shouted to all the ministers in the provincial government, the education minister of the provincial governments in the Marwadi High School in 1937 in Wardha, that skill is the good way, the best way of educating children, and it should be around the skill. And we now bring it as a new economic policy, new education policy. Why is this? So we have given a go-by to him. We have ignored him. So that is one reason why we have not been able to do. This is one. Two, materialism has, and he had warned us. और हमारी संस्कृति में तो लिखा हुआ है, गोधन गजधन वाजिधन और रतन धन खान, जब आ जावे संतोष धन सब धन धूरी समान। ये कोई गांधी पहली बार कह रहा है? अरे हमारे सारे लोग कह रहे हैं भाई। देनहार कोई और है, देवत है दिन रैन, लोग भरम हम पे धरे, याते नीचे नैन। रहीम कह रहा है दया धर्म का मूल है, देह मूल अभिमान, तुलसी दया न छांडिए में प्राण। ये सब किसकी संस्कृति है? गांधी कोई नई बात कह रहा है क्या? हमारी संस्कृति में सदियों से बात हो रही है। We are talking from centuries that this is material life has to be contained, but we have been enamored by what's happening in the world, and we think that that's the real world. So संस्कृति from parents, from teachers, from the childhood. So गांधी ने कहा कि मेरी अंतिम परंतु महामूल्य भेंट जो है दुनिया को, इस देश को, नई तालीम है। And नई तालीम was skill education, education of heart, which means the values, education of hand, which is skills, and education of head, which is knowledge. So ये नहीं हुआ तो नहीं होना चाहिए, इसीलिए सब इरिवर्सिबल है। सब इरिवर्सिबल होता तो हमने नई एजुकेशन पॉलिसी नहीं बनाई होती, हम अपनी न्यू इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसी नहीं बनाते। लोगों के मानस के साथ सिस्टम से भी काम करना है और इंडिविजुअल के साथ भी काम करना है, तो हम शुरुआत तो कहीं भी कुछ भी कर सकते हैं। तो गांधी जो है वो छोड़ना शुरू कर दें, को ठीक लगे हम छोड़ दें, कुछ भी शुरू कर दें। मैंने बूट पहनना बंद कर दिया। मैंने बचपन में मैंने कहा यार बूट पहनने से क्या होता है, मैं हवाई चप्पल पहनता हूँ। मेरे को अभी तक किसी ने नहीं पूछा कि तुम हवाई चप्पल क्यों पहनते हो, या किसी ने ये नहीं कहा कि तुम नहीं आ सकते हो भाषण देने के लिए, तुम हवाई चप्पल पहन के आओ। किसी ने बोला तो नहीं अब तक। क्लास में किसी स्टूडेंट ने कहा ये क्या सर आप ऐसे आते हो, हम नहीं पढ़ेंगे आपसे। तो मैंने 18 साल की उम्र से खादी पहनना शुरू कर दिया। उसमें मुझे अक्ल आई कि भाई के मालिक को ज्यादा लाभ मिलने वाला है। तो आज मैं बच्चों को विद्यापीठ में मैंने कहा कि तुम अगर आज खादी पहनोगे तो तुम जो है वो पर्यावरण को मदद करोगे, क्योंकि तुम जो है प्रदूषण कम करोगे। अगर मैंने अभी यहाँ आकर के अपने धर्मपुर के अंदर नागली खाना शुरू किया और यहाँ का चावल खाना शुरू किया, तो मैं इकोसिस्टम को भी सपोर्ट कर रहा हूँ। मैंने गेहूं खाना बंद किया, गेहूं यहाँ उगता नहीं है, पहले भी लोग नहीं खाते थे, जब ये राशन आ गया इसीलिए लोग गेहूं खाना शुरू कर दिए। तो क्या नहीं हो सकता है? हो सकता है। शुरू करिए, कहीं से भी आप अपने शुरू कर दें, हो जाएगा। और इसका एक वातावरण बनता है, ये नहीं है कि वातावरण नहीं बनता है। कितने सारे अच्छे उदाहरण है सर। आप देख लीजिए, मैं आपको लखनऊ से लेकर के आप उत्तर प्रदेश में कई ऐसे मतलब उदाहरण हैं जहां ये सब प्रयास हो रहे हैं। उन प्रयासों को बढ़ावा देना है, शुरुआत मुझे अपने आप से करनी है, तो संभव है। और मतलब ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, ये जैसे वो कहते हैं कि ये सारे मूल्य जो हैं वो गालिब का एक शेर कहते हुए नजर आते हैं कि क्या है कि वो मेहरबान हो के चाहो बुला लो मुझे जिस वक्त, मैं गुजरा हुआ वक्त नहीं कि जो आ ना सकूं। सो हम लोग सब कोशिश करते हुए को तो आएंगे, हो सकता है। ठीक है, ऐसा
थैंक यू।
मुझे लगता है, मेरी श्रद्धा है, मैं श्रद्धा के बिना तो मैं कैसे आगे बढ़ूं। ठीक। His question, Aishwarya Datta. What are the views on Gandhi's stand on women issue? Do you think it is relevant today? देखो भाई, गांधी अपने समय का आदमी था, बचपन में शादी हो गई थी, उस समय डोमिनेटेड समाज था, तो गांधी ने अगर ये कहा कि औरतों को जो है वो घर में किचन चलाना चाहिए, बच्चों की देखभाल करनी चाहिए, तो आप ना कर सकती हैं कि क्यों भाई, सिर्फ मेरी जवाबदारी है। पर गांधी ने ये भी कहा कि औरतें ही इस देश की शक्ति हैं। महर्षि कर्वे, जिन्होंने वुमेन यूनिवर्सिटी शुरू की थी, SNDT, उन्होंने गांधी को दांडी के बाद जो है एक श्रद्धांजलि दी। उन्होंने कहा कि मैं इतने सालों के प्रयास में जो महिलाओं की सशक्तिकरण के लिए नहीं कर सका, उतना दांडी यात्रा में इस देश की सामान्य महिलाओं को गांधी जी ने बाहर निकाला। ठीक है, तो गांधी जो है वो उस स्त्री शक्ति को समझते थे, गांधी बराबरी को समझते थे, और उन्होंने अपने जीवन में ही परिवर्तन किए। पर गांधी अपने समय का आदमी है, तब वॉशिंग मशीन नहीं थी, तब ये चीजें नहीं थी। तो गांधी जो कह रहा था, गांधी जो है वो जो डिवीजन करता है, वो डिवीजन वहां जाकर के करता है। ये एक बात। दूसरी बात मैं ये बताना चाहता हूं ऐश्वर्या जी, कि पुरुष हो या स्त्री, स्वराज्य तो दोनों को चाहिए। अगर दोनों को स्वराज्य चाहिए और दोनों को स्वराज्य पर हक है, गांधी ने ये तो नहीं कहा कि ये स्वराज्य सिर्फ पुरुषों को मिलेगा, ये मेरे 11 व्रत हैं उसका पालन सिर्फ पुरुष करेंगे, ऐसा तो उसने नहीं कहा। व्यक्ति जो है उसका सेक्स इमेटीरियल है। मेरे स्वराज्य के लिए मुझे प्रयत्न करना है, और मैं अगर अपने स्वराज्य के लिए प्रयत्न कर सकूं तो मुझे इक्वल होने से रोक कौन सकता है? मैं सत्याग्रह करूंगा। बा ने सत्याग्रह कर दिया था, लड़की छोटी सी कस्तूरबा, उससे 6 महीने बड़ी थी, पर शादी के बाद ये पति बन गए थे और उस पर रोप गांठ रहे थे कि मैं पतिव्रता, तुम पतिव्रता हो और मैं पत्नीव्रता हूं। उसने ये कहा मुझे पत्नीव्रता होना चाहिए, पर तुम अगर पतिव्रता हो तो तुम सब मुझसे पूछ के करो, यू आस्क मी एंड देन यू डू एवरीथिंग। सो देन कस्तूर, लिटिल गर्ल ऑफ 14.5 tells him, oh अच्छा, if I have to go to temple I have to ask you, if I have to go to my friend's place I have to ask you, if I have to go to my mother's place I have to ask you, get lost. And both had झगड़ा, and वो मायके चली गई कस्तूर। Was she not a rebel in that sense? She was. So Aishwarya, your point is right, but when you do that, and Gandhi later on says कि I learnt my first satyagraha lesson from Kastur. See this? So Gandhi had views, but Gandhi's fundamental point was look for your Swarajya. When you look for your Swarajya, nobody can stop this equality and treating every human being as same, on the same platform. Sex is just a biological difference. Right? That's what I understand. Papuri says the irony today is the success of person is understood by how well off person is. Oh, that we can change. That we can change. Take your own example. Take examples of teachers. Tell me about Professor Deka or Professor Jain. Professor Jain को क्या कम इज्जत मिलती है समाज में? शिक्षकों को ज्यादा मिलनी चाहिए, मैं मानता हूँ, पर किसी ने ये तो नहीं कहा कि भाई जो है ये हम जो है जब समाज के इज्जतदार लोगों की बात गिनते हैं उसमें सब साहूकारों को ही गिनते हैं। ऐसा नहीं है। आई थिंक उनको सबसे ज्यादा क्रिटिसाइज करते हैं। मुझे तो लगता है कि मुकेश अंबानी के 27 माल की बिल्डिंग को लेकर के बहुत आलोचना हुई। इज इट जस्टिफाइड? 27 स्टोरी बिल्डिंग जिसमें तीन माल तो पार्किंग है, उसका इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बिल देखोगे तो यार मेरे जैसे का पूरा साल रोटी कपड़ा मकान चल जाता है। ओके, सो नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है। अगर जनरली आपको लगेगा कि ऐसा है, चेंज दैट, यू चेंज इट, यू कैन चेंज इट, एंड व्हेन यू चेंज इट देन पीपल एक्सेप्ट इट। मेरे को पेंशन नहीं मिलती भाई, फकीर आदमी को कभी ऐसे ही ये सारा जो ये भूपाली बहन ने पढ़ लिया है, नौकरी वोकरी रोटी खाने के लिए की, बाद में कोई कभी किसी पेंशन का जॉब नहीं किया, इच्छा हुई छोड़ दिया, नर्मदा की लड़ाई में जुड़ गया, आदिवासियों के लिए 10 साल उसमें लगा दिए, तो करो अपना, मतलब क्या है, इससे कोई कुछ नहीं होता। सो आई थिंक है ऐसे नॉर्म्स होते हैं, नॉर्म्स को चेंज कर दो। यू आर द यंग वन, चेंज द नॉर्म। ओके, सो यस, व्हाट एल्स? ओके, is any other question? Sir, throw some light on Gandhian philosophy having similarity. Oh, Buddhist, very good. Compassion economy. देखो, जैन और हिंदू धर्म में कोई फर्क नहीं है। दया धर्म का मूल है, देह मूल अभिमान, जो मैंने आपको तुलसी का दोहा सुनाया, that is very Buddhism. Compassion. What is compassion? And what is, how, I'll just give one example. मेरे पास 4 रोटी है, ठीक है, मेरी भूख 2 रोटी की है, मैंने 2 रोटी दे दी, वो हो गया दान, क्योंकि मेरे पास जो ज्यादा है मैंने दे दिया। मेरे पास 4 रोटी है, मेरी 4 रोटी की भूख है, मैं नहीं खाऊंगा 4 रोटी, आई विल बी हंग्री इफ आई डोंट ईट 4 chapatis. But when somebody comes, I give 1 chapati, reducing from my stock what I need. I have given something, that is compassion. Karuna. Buddhism lives on karuna. So there is good amount of convergence, and this convergence comes from our culture of this geopolitical entity which we call Hindustan. Okay, so I mean, everywhere human values would have been lived everywhere. So in that sense, Buddhism and Gandhi are in that sense close. They talk about ahimsa, they talk about compassion. Gandhi never claims any originality. He has learned so much from Jainism, these Niyamas from Hinduism, his non-acquisitive aparigraha from Jain. You just see he has learned from everything. Karuna from Buddhism. So no problem. Akan Das, how can we achieve Gandhian principles in the light of new education policy? Oh, see, the new education policy is not sitting on our head. Actually, the new education policy has very serious problems. Serious problems in the sense that with all good things they say in the beginning and in the end, that we have Nalanda, we have Takshashila, we will become Vishwa Guru, we will go to... See, you can't do everything. So you can't be on the cutting edge of the sort of technology and then talk about this also. Let us go back to 4 values. Is this new education policy going to increase accessibility, equal opportunity? It is going to generate employment opportunities? Is it going to instill values in us? Does it encourage cooperation or it encourages competition? Isme test kar lo and you will find out. There is scope, yes, there is scope. There is scope in every policy. I am just waiting कि भाई यहाँ क्या होगा, मेरी आंगनवाड़ी की बहनों का क्या इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलप करेगी सर, पता नहीं, बोल रहे हैं, पता नहीं 6% GDP खर्च करने वाले हैं. How they will do, I have no idea. But I will wait here to see my Anganwadis, if they are well equipped. Then I will go and I will help getting the Anganwadi worker for preschool learning. मेरे प्राइमरी स्कूल को मैं देखूंगा क्या हो रहा है, और अगर वो कहेंगे कि क्योंकि उसमें कहा है कि आप स्किल सिखाएंगे, तो मैं और कुछ काम कर दूंगा. यहाँ हम एजुकेशन का काम कर रहे हैं, टीचर्स के साथ काम कर रहे हैं. हाउ चिल्ड्रन लर्न एंड हाउ यू कैन डू इट, डू दिस प्रिंसिपल, हाउ यू कैन, लर्निंग बाय डूइंग इज बेटर. सो लर्निंग बाय डूइंग करवा देंगे. लर्निंग में जो है वो स्किल है, सो स्किल से एजुकेशन कर दीजिए. स्किल अटैचमेंट नहीं है, स्किल को सेंटर में रख के उससे एजुकेट करना है. ये पॉलिसी कह रही है, इतना स्पष्टली नहीं, पर मैं उसको कर दूंगा, मतलब कर सकता हूं. वी ऑल कैन डू इट, राइट. सो बाकी जो है मुश्किल क्या है इस न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी में, स्कूल एजुकेशन कैन नॉट बी लेफ्ट टू प्राइवेट सेक्टर. कोई देश, अमेरिका भी नहीं करता है. ये हमारे देश में त्रासदी है. बिकॉज वी थिंक दैट वी वांट प्राइवेट। क्यों? अच्छा, कहीं लिखा नहीं कि हम इंग्लिश मीडियम स्कूल खत्म कर देंगे। ये लिखा है कि 5 till class 5, preferably till class 8, we will have medium which is home language, regional language, mother tongue, home language, mother tongue, regional language, ये तीनों चीज लिखी हुई है कि प्राइमरी स्कूल में पढ़ाएंगे। लेट्स इम्प्लीमेंट, चैलेंज कर दोगे मजा आ जाएगा। यूनिसेफ ने भी कहा कि बच्चे पहले दे ऑल लर्न इन देयर मदर टंग्स। इट्स माय रिस्पांसिबिलिटी नाउ टू टेक इट। पॉलिसी हो जाने से कुछ नहीं होता है। वी हैव टू डू इट, वी हैव टू क्रिएट मटीरियल, वी हैव टू क्रिएट नॉलेज इन आवर ओन लैंग्वेजेस। एक बात बताइए, देश कैसा है? नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी बनी, कितनी भाषाओं में बनी? पहले अंग्रेजी में बनी, हमारी सोच अंग्रेजी है। इसका 22 कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में दी हुई 22 या 24 से 27 भाषाओं में इसका तुरंत ट्रांसलेशन हुआ? नहीं हुआ। आप लोगों ने किया? कर लीजिए, उसका फारसी वर्जन निकालिए, बांग्ला वर्जन निकालिए, जो आपकी डायलेक्ट है उसका वर्जन। ये नागरिक की जवाबदारी भी कुछ होगी या नहीं होगी? डू दिस एंड यू विल डू। ओके, सो आई थिंक जस्ट लेट्स ट्राई, लेट्स ऑल ऑफ अस ट्राई। ये सिर्फ सरकार की पॉलिसी से नहीं होगा। पॉलिसी में अच्छी बातें होती हैं भी, हमको आगे भी जाना है, पर उसके लिए जवाबदारी मेरी। और लेट अस बी मॉडेस्ट, लेट अस बी मॉडेस्ट, नो टॉल क्लेम्स। क्या करेंगे विश्व गुरु बन के ऐसे समाज को लेकर के, जहाँ रोज आए दिन लिंचिंग होता है, किसी को मार देते हैं, जाति के मामले में लड़ना शुरू कर देते हैं। क्या क्या नहीं कर रहे हैं हम लोग। हाँ, तो ये सारी बातें प्रॉब्लम यंग लोगों को मतलब डिस्टर्ब होना चाहिए, गेट डिस्टर्ब। और वो डिस्टर्ब हुआ बुढ़ा तभी जाकर के उसने साउथ अफ्रीका में जो है वो क्रांति करी। 23 साल का लड़का था, उसने कहा ये क्या हो रहा है, तो उसने हिलाया सबको, कहा कि चलो इकट्ठे हो जाओ, नागरिक अधिकार समान होने चाहिए, वी आर सेम सिटीजन, लेट्स फाइट। अहिंसात्मक तौर पर, हिंसा नहीं करनी, बिकॉज सस्टेनेबल सॉल्यूशन चाहिए। यस, Gandhi is perhaps the most misunderstood leader of freedom struggle. He is often blamed for partition of India by many. What's your take on it? देखो भाई, ऐसा है कि अभी तो इतिहास बहुत क्लियर हो गया है। He is blamed for partition because we thought that he is pro-Muslim. He was pro-none. He was pro-human being. You have to read very carefully all the documents. He was not taken into confidence at all. Nehru and Sardar Patel tried. They had Jinnah, Nehru, Patel. These are the only 3 people who were there with Mountbatten to sign on the Congress side, from our Muslim League side and from the British side, to sign on this partition. Gandhi was informed, and then Gandhi was sad. Gandhi said कि आजकल मेरी कोई नहीं सुनता है। आप कलेक्टेड वर्क्स ऑफ महात्मा गांधी में दिल्ली में जब वो आकर के रहे लास्ट दिनों में, उनके रोज का प्रेयर स्पीच पढ़ लीजिए, आपको पता चलेगा कि गांधी कभी भी, गांधी तो पाकिस्तान जाने वाला था, उसको गोली नहीं मारते तो जा रहा था, और पाकिस्तान में भी प्रजा वेट कर रही थी कि बुड्ढा आए, क्योंकि प्रेम का संदेश ला रहा था भाई। वो नहीं होने देता। This is the impression that we are trying to create, that Gandhi did partition. So ये सारी बातें चलती रहती हैं, but please read and verify. Gandhi is not, साइन करना पड़ता है ना भाई कांग्रेस की ओर से। गांधी गया था क्या? नहीं गया था। गांधी को पूछा नेहरू और पटेल ने? नहीं पूछा। इसका एविडेंस है, राम मनोहर लोहिया ने इसके बारे में डिटेल में लिखा है, ओके, कि भाई गांधी को पूछा तक नहीं गया कि पार्टीशन होने वाला है, क्योंकि दे वर अफ्रेड कि अगर ये बुड्ढा कहेगा पार्टीशन नहीं होगा तो आजादी नहीं मिलेगी। अंग्रेजों का तो एक खेल था कि डिवाइड कर दो, क्योंकि दे वांट, देखो ये जियोपॉलिटिकल पॉलिटिक्स जो है ना, वो बड़ी भयंकर चीज है। उनको एक टुकड़ा जो है इस तरह से करने का था कि दे वांटेड अ थाना, आई मीन यू नो द पोस्ट अगेंस्ट रशिया। ये मत समझना कि गांधी ने आजादी दिला। गांधी तो वो इंडिविजुअल स्वराज की और समाज परिवर्तन की रचनात्मक कार्यों की बात कर रहा था। उसके लिए ये पॉलिटिकल फ्रीडम बहुत मायने नहीं रखती थी। इट वाज इम्पोर्टेंट, but let us not be, I mean, if somebody says he is father of the nation not because he got us independence, He's father of the nation because he wanted to shift the paradigm of how we should build our society. I am not least going to give least importance to our Shahid Bhagat Singh and all. I am going to give high importance. नेताजी सुभाष चंद्र बोस, हाई इंपॉर्टेंस. दिल देश की लिए आग थी इन लोगों के. चंद्रशेखर आजाद हुए, राम प्रसाद बिस्मिल हुए, या हमारा छोटा सा लड़का जो है जो वायली को मारने के लिए चला गया, मदन ढींगरा था, कितने साल का, 19 साल का लड़का था. खुदीराम बोस फांसी पर चढ़ गया. हाँ, ये देखो ऐसा है कि देश की जो वो है भावना, उसने काम नहीं किया ऐसा तो हम कह ही नहीं सकते. गांधी सिर्फ ये कह रहा था कि चलो हम अहिंसात्मक तरीके से करें, और बहुत सारे लोगों को जोड़ सका उस मामले में. और उसके लिए अहिंसा स्ट्रेटजी नहीं है, वे ऑफ लाइफ है. तो वो उस वे ऑफ लाइफ को प्रमोट कर रहा था. ओके, I hope you understand Hindi. My usual language is, my problem is that I have studied in Hindi medium, so sorry about that. I hope you understand Hindi, but if not, please ask. I can speak in English as well. Okay, I think we have passed 17 minutes past our time, according to our coordinator, who said this will be 1 hour.
Thank you, sir, for such a healthy discussion. I thank all the
I am
participants.
very much, Bhupali, sorry, I am just very much thankful to Professor Vinod Jain. Being a Vice Chancellor, I can understand his sort of time, stress on time. Thank you, sir, for being with this entire thing.
Actually, it was very illuminating talk by you. It was very enjoyable, I must say.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir, our Bilit Kumar Jain, sir, and our Professor Iyengar for spending your time and enlighten us. Very nice talk, sir, it was. Please, Bhupali, please. Bhupali, please, carry on.
Yeah, we are nearing the end of today's program. So before we end, I would like to thank a few people without whom this would not have been possible. I would like to place on record our thankfulness to our Vice Chancellor, Professor Vinod Kumar Jain, for all his guidance and support throughout. And as Iyengar sir had just mentioned, for being with us the whole time in spite of his busy schedule. Thank you so much, sir. I would also like to place on record a deep sense of gratitude and thankfulness to Professor Sudarshan Iyengar for agreeing to be with us as the speaker today. Sir, you have really made us think differently and also a kind of paradigm shift in our thinking also about Gandhi and breaking the typical image of Gandhi. And thank you so much, sir. We will remember you for quite a period of time, for a very long period, probably, because of your lecture today. Thank you so much for being with us today, sir. I hope all the participants will agree to this. They are writing many messages for you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I would also like to thank Mr. Abhijit Baisa from the Center of Women Studies, Milan Deka from Computer Center, and Arjun Roy, a student of BTech from Tezpur University, for all the technical and designing help. And at the end, a huge thank you to all the participants across the country who have joined with us today and who helped in making this virtual talk a huge success. Thank you so much. It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. And one more request for the participants, the feedback link will be provided to you in the chat box. Please go through it and submit it. Once again, thank you everyone for your kind presence in this virtual talk. Thank you so much.
Thank you for anchoring.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Welcome to Tezpur University.
Thank you.
So just I have one request to all the participants. So please go with the feedback form, fill it out, and you will get the e-certificate. Thank you all for your kind presence, and thank you again, Professor Iyengar and our honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, spending so much time with us. And it's a very nice lecture, sir. We are really thankful to Professor Iyengar. A lot of information we gathered today. Thank you so much.
थैंक यू माय यंग पीपल, दिस इज नॉट नेशनल टैलेंट सर्च, इसीलिए मुझे लाइक करिएगा ऐसा जरूरी नहीं है। हाँ फीडबैक में आपको जो लिखना है वो लिखना। ओके, थैंक यू, बाय बाय।
बाय सर।
धन्यवाद, नमस्कार।
Hello, Rekha.
Thank you all again. Just we are closing the our today's lectures. Thank you.